I'm watching my cactus die. Kind of. So I have a plan to breed out the strongest genetics I possibly can with the least effort. Sort of a lazy man's way. So I'm growing trays of seedlings. I've got heaps more seeds coming. I can't keep all of them. You know, like I do have a decent amount of room, but I cannot keep all of them. I also don't want to grow them up to this size and have to constantly deal with fungal infections, rotting, and just problems like that, slow growers, all of that. So to avoid that, from this stage, they get potted up into pots. And I really don't care for them too much. And so when I say I'm watching them die, they're literally dying, they're rotting. And like this one was only potted up not that long ago. And so this one, okay, so this makes a bit more sense. So this is seed that I got a guy from in Peru. And there was a bunch in the trays like this that were slightly rotted from too much water. Now, really, I should have just thrown them out, but I left them there to dry for about 3 weeks. Once they were dry, I then put them in soil. So these ones here were also had small bits of rot. They all might also die. But so to me, I don't want that. It's just weak. Sure, this could be a 10 out of 10 character-wise cactus in the future, but I got to do what I got to do to get cactus that grow strong, girthy, resilient, lots of vigor, and no problems that I have to deal with. I don't want to have to spray them every week, every 2 weeks for pests and fungal control. So I am putting them in harsh conditions. So these pots are probably bigger than what they should be in, because I'll go on this side. These are 200ml pots. And so that soil holds quite a lot of water. Now, where I am on the mid-north coast, it's been raining quite a lot. And ever since they've been potted, their soil has not dried out. Even at home in Sydney, all these big guys, I don't think their pots have dried out for months and months. Here's another one. Yeah, he's dead. So they get quite a lot of sun as well. In this position here, you can see also the cold, because we're in a bit of late winter now. At night they're getting a bit of cold, and the sun as well hits them, so they are getting quite stressed. But I like that. I want that stress. Now, I don't think what I'm doing is too much. These guys are fine. These guys are slightly bigger. This guy doesn't have any marks on him. He doesn't have any fungal spots. He's not rotted, so it's no problem. As well as these guys. I've got plenty of these guys. Plenty of them don't have any fungal marks on them whatsoever. Hardly any rot. When I had some bipolaris outbreak, I had a couple that rotted, and I cut them off. And, you know, part of me is like, well, do I throw them because now they've had fungal? You know, I still want to give them a chance. So I cut them. If they heal, no problem. If I cut them, they rot. Cut them, they rot. Well, then, you know, at some point I just give up. But I don't want to put too much time and effort into them. So by doing that, sure, I waste a bit of time of growing them in the containers and then having to separate them and potting them up. But when they go into here, it does the culling and selection for me, you know. So if they're not strong, they die off. You can see these guys are very small. Like, really, you would not put these in this position. It's been cold as, quite a lot of sun on them, and they're very stressed. But in my eyes, if they survive through this, they're going to thrive when they're older. If they can't, well, then they may still thrive if I save them, but they're not going to be doing as good as the ones that did thrive. You can see this guy has all those fungal marks. I would say he's probably going to die. But then you see this guy, he's pretty sturdy. He's got some definitely stress coloration going on there, but he doesn't have any fungal marks that I can see. Yeah, see, that's another indication to me that that is cold stress, not so much sun stress, because it's got that coloration on all sides. I mean, you can see there, that's sun stress there. Yeah, so the sun comes on that side of it, and you can see that, oh, let me focus on it, that white coloration, the lighter color, and then it's a bit darker. So the darkness is, I think, from the cold, and then you got that, there you go, that, what do you call that? Starting to go into a pinky, maybe purplish color, and it starts to get lighter, and right there, yeah, that's where the sun's hitting. But he's doing pretty good. So I would put my money on that this guy will survive. Maybe that guy will die. He might rot. But, you know, I can't say this is like what I've thought of from the very beginning, but, you know, I've got so many and I'm trying to, you know, I suppose rushing, but I just love the looks and I want to breed them. I want to get some really cool looking cactus and breed them, but at the same time, I don't want fungal issues, like I've said. Anyway, and so at some point, when I have my breeding stock that I'm happy with, I want to be offering to sell these to people, but I don't want to sell them shit. If I'm going to sell stuff, I want it to be the best quality I can possibly offer. I want to be selling stuff to people where when they plant it, it grows and it's super vigorous. They're not going to have issues. It's not going to die on them. That's what I want. Yeah. So whatever dies, dies. Whatever survives then gets up to this size, and from that size, I'm going to go through and I'm going to, you know, like this is the same cross as this one. Now, that's a lot shorter. It's also in a bigger pot. Not sure if that's going to make a difference. You'd think that would be bigger, but that is slightly thicker. This one's slightly thinner, but this one's a lot taller. They're looking quite similar. And so to me, if I had these in pots like that, say there was 10 of them, 8 of them died. I think I have a few more. I just don't know where they are. I think I got one of them planted actually. But that's what survived. I then look at that and go, okay, what's the best genetics out of this? So size, I mean, that's got more girth, but that's got more speed of growth. They're looking very similar. I mean, look, straight from looks, I'd probably be going for this one. But then I've also got to look at fungal problems. So it's got a couple marks there and in there. Mark there. Another mark there. Really pretty good. This guy, on the other hand, has quite a big infection. Something that looks like it's not going to slow down. And a bit more, can't see it, but it's just there. And that's not too bad down there. That's more scarring rather than, it's not very active. But that is. And this guy really doesn't have much. So out of these, I would keep this guy. And sure, you know, I know in the wild they have fungal all over them. They have all sorts of stuff going on, a full ecosystem all over them. And that's super cool. But I'm growing these for the looks of them. I'm not growing them for the ecosystem that's grown on the skin. So I would be picking this one. I'd then plant it or put it in a bigger pot, wait for it to get bigger, and then I'd flower it, breed it again, and do the exact same thing in a container. When they're ready, they get up potted, whatever dies, and whatever gets into this stage, I do it again. And you know, sometimes I'm going to grow stuff, like if I crossed this with this, to me, I don't know if I'm going to get much. The only reason I would keep, like, I would probably sell that one and that one. The only reason I would keep one of them is if, as it got older, it got some really cool traits or something. The spine's got a really nice color or size or whatever happens, you know. Because things can change, but at the moment I'd sell them. Or if it had very strong vigor, meaning just growing super fast, thick, resilient. If it had any of those qualities, then sure, I'd think about keeping it and using it to breed with. Even if it didn't have any nice characteristics other than resilience, I would possibly keep it. And if I had, for example, this guy over here, he's got some variegation. He's got some nice spines. So that is a chiloensis. And it's quite beautiful. But it has really bad fungal on it. And I find a lot of these chiloensis, Passacanas, Taquimbalensis, Toshekai is alright. And Passacanas alright, but those guys and those ones, Taquimbalensis, can get fungal problems quite easily. So because of how nice it looks, and this is one of the only ones I've got of that, so I would keep that. I would grow it up. I'd then cross it with something very strong that doesn't get any fungal marks. So maybe like this guy, he's got some thick genetics. He doesn't have hardly any fungal marks on him. No rot, nothing wrong with him. He's sturdy. That's the other thing I also look for, is sturdiness. If something constantly falls over, I don't want that either, because in a nursery setting or a garden, having something that grows up and then falls over and then grows and falls over, it's not that appealing. It's quite annoying. In the wild, I know there's plenty of varieties, especially Bridgesii, that will grow up and they turn into this big bush. And, you know, that's normal. That's the habit of it. That's what happens. But I do like to try and get these Bridgesii to flower and cross them with something that is sturdy to try and get that Bridgesii look, but not the falling over part of it. So yeah, if I cross that chiloensis with this, then I would get the sturdiness, the resilience, the vigor, because that's also very slow growing. So, you know, I want to get that much of a look into this as possible. I feel like this would take more of the genetics, but you know, I can always then just wait for the next season and, well, maybe 2-3 seasons, and the offspring of this and offspring of those two, I then can cross it back with that and, you know, do my whole watching them die thing, and whatever survives, hopefully I can then get it looking more like that chiloensis, but without any fungal problems, and a bit faster growing, maybe a bit thicker. Yeah, so, you know, that's what I mean when I say watching them die. But they're quite stressed. Even my crests, Crests are even more fragile, but really, I just hate having a crest and having it rot and being like, oh, I got to cut it and graft it and save it, and oh, I got to do this, and I got to dry it and keep it protected. But this guy is, what's he? Yeah, zero entity crest Trojan llama. Trojan llama giving quite a lot of mutants. I don't know about zero entity. I think that's just a scopocola. But he's quite stressed. But to me, that looks like a pretty strong, solid stressing, like genetics, sorry. It's stressing, but that's normal. Same as this guy. And then even, oh, this is Rog Dog cross Trojan llama. And I'm really putting him to the test. Now, in theory, if I'm going for vigor and growth rate, I really should just chuck this guy out, because I think in the other tray of that, is this? Yeah, see, this is a Rog Dog cross Trojan llama. And so that's a mutant, and that's a mutant crest, whatever. So in theory, I should keep him and throw him out. But look, I don't mind having slow growers. My main concern is I don't want to have to cut them and have rot problems and this and that. I just want strong stuff. But yeah, this guy's, let me get some better lighting on him. He's pretty stressed as well, but he's holding strong. And so these crests, like, I've got my soil mix. If you haven't seen that video, watch that. I go through what is in my soil and how I make it. But you can see that is wet. And every single morning here, I live in a little tent at the moment, and I have a little metal roof over it. But the the fog, every single morning, you can hear it dripping on my tent. So, and when I get up early in the morning, it is total just mist here. And you almost can't see through to the trees sometimes. It's so thick every single morning. So all these cactus are getting soaked in mist, full-blown humidity every single morning. And that's also a massive stressor for these guys. Or bringing on fungal problems. So yeah, this soil is totally wet for a crest, freshly planted in this soil a couple months ago in winter. Like, if that's not a stress test, I don't know what is. Oh no, that's solid. Yeah, so I don't know, I feel like it's got to be done. I'm sick of babying plants to keep them alive, only to have them die on you years later when you go away for holiday once, you know? So, but all these bigger guys, none of those is rotted. I suppose because they're a bit bigger, but no. What else have we got here? Let's go through. We can see that guy's stressing out there. He's solid, he hasn't rotted yet. Let's see the coloration on him. So the sun hits, I think, mostly right there, and you can see it's got some almost red down there, orangey sort of color, and yellow, and a bit of green, and then got that darker color down there. So we're going to rotate him. Let's get a zoom in here. Where are we? And then that's morning sun. And then we start to get where the sun doesn't hit at all. A lot greener. And then we get back to where the sun hits. Right there. Yeah, so these guys are really getting hit pretty hard got a little small candy canes cross Maticana. Yeah, right. Okay. And that's just about dead. It's alive at the top, rotted, but no doubt, I mean, it's pretty squishy, so it's most likely dead. And this is some of them as well, I think. That's a variegate. Got a touch of green in there. If it survives, it thrives. If it doesn't, well, it's dead. Oops. And another thing I noticed over on these Taquimbalensis, open pollination, and that's why I said before, I noticed that the tacs get a lot of fungal marks. Now, this one has it, that one has it, that one has it, that one has it, that one, that one, that one, and that one. I do have more of these in still that I haven't potted up, but these are the only ones I think that I've potted up recently into single pots. So I'm still trying to, I mean, I'm pretty sure that the reason why they're looking like this is due to the potting up and the stress of it. The winter, the wet soil, and just all of it, you know, and being stressed from being ripped out, separated and all that, roots broken. So I'm not too sure if this is going to continue throughout its entire life or if only when it's stressed, but we'll find out. Now, this guy, yeah, he's pretty solid, and I haven't seen too much marks on him. Yeah, literally nothing. There's a couple spots right there, you can see. But other than that, there's nothing. So to me, I'm thinking awesome. I'll let them all grow up until a certain point. If you know, if they get really bad and rotting and ugly and whatever, then yeah, get rid of them. But that guy, I would keep an eye on him, make sure he grows up, and I would cross him back with another Taquimbalensis to get, because I feel like there's quite few Taquimbalensis out there that aren't fungal prone or rot prone. And I think that's just sort of how they are, their habit. So he is something I'd be keeping an eye on for sure. Yeah, hopefully it goes well. And I got a bunch more too, so there's still possibilities I'll get some others. And like, then there's that guy that's a lot bigger than any of these guys. A lot bigger spines, but he's got the fungal marks. And I've noticed that before. Just because they grow fast, they're thick, they look great, doesn't mean they're fungal resistant. I've had some when I've been doing an up pot, and all the others have no fungal marks, but the biggest one, the healthiest looking one, has all these fungal marks on it. So I had to throw it out because I don't want that. But it happens. All right, now let's talk about, without too much fungal talk, what I sort of am looking for in these cactus. So these ones here, this one's snapped off for some reason. That is a Dino cross DeCosta. Now, I can't remember, it might have been one of either the Dino or DeCosta, but I remember the guy that was selling them showed that one of them had this kind of variegation, kind of like Judith. So you can see there, this used to be like that. Now it's more of a kind of a stressed variegation, and it could well and truly just go away and be nothing. But that's how Judith sort of grows, is when it's in sun, it gets that kind of, let's get a zoom in. Gets that kind of variegation, you know. And so same as that one there. Now it's not, I wouldn't go and say that is variegation. That is because of the sun. But it could well and truly be that kind of, well, I don't know. I mean, right there, that's looking like variegation. But years ago, it didn't have that. Like, that was green. And that came from the sun. So it could just be sun stress. But again, something like that, Judith. So something like that, I would like potentially keep specifically for that trait. Now, out of all these are those sort of Pachanoi scopulocola mixes. I find them quite boring, especially at seedling stage. They really don't show much much promise until they're bigger, because they get that real nice girth. They can get that notchiness and that resilience, you know, especially with some Pachanois, that strength, that sturdiness. So it's hard for me to cull them at this stage. These, I wasn't doing that culling plan, but I started culling on those ones. So there's still not too much, but a bit of fungal. I mean, they're all pretty good, to be honest, but I know I potted up some stuff that still had fungal problems on them. Oh, here's another example of that. Sun stress. I wonder if that's Dino and DeCosta again. I've just got it written on the side. No, that is Tall Cross Slim. That's what was, and yeah, how crazy. Look at that. That is so green on the other side. Let's turn that back around. Tall and Slim is what they were named. That is crazy. Look at that. Maybe that is variegation. I don't know. It kind of looks like sun stress to me. We'll find out in years to come, eh? There it is again on that one. What's that one? Is that? And again, just green as. See, that's got some marks. That, let it focus. Not focusing. That's got an active fungal spot on that. Sorry, I'm still talking fungal. Okay, so yeah, this one is Dino Cross DeCosta again. So maybe there's something in those that's giving that that sun variegation. These are quite sturdy. That is a Tall Cross Slim from Ross Grow, something like that, in New Zealand. And that has grown since I've potted it up, which was a few months ago now, through winter, surprisingly. But why I'm pointing this out is, to me, this stands out as something as strong, resilient, and girthy. Now, I might have mentioned it before, but again, when I see these marks, I like that, because that tells me that is from scratching from other spines and whatever else, and it's scarring up. No, it's not getting scratched and then rotting, not getting scratched and fungal marks getting in. And this, I think that's called corking. I'm not too familiar with the whole corking thing, but I think that happens because these are potted up like really close, like that one there. They'll pot up real close, and I think that happens when you have a lot of moisture, or maybe like it's just not a lot of sun, and there's no point having the chlorophyll. So I don't know, maybe it scars up or something like that. But it's not really an active thing that climbs up. And so, going off of the look of this, again, that's also a bit of a scar there, but it's thick, it's firm. And it's just, you know, and when you feel some others, like they don't feel anchored. This one feels anchored. It doesn't bend like some others do. Yeah, so to me, I'd be keeping an eye on that for vigor and growth and sturdiness, and I could breed almost anything else with that I think needs that trait. And that's a lot of some of the more boring stuff, to me at least. I like a lot of that, the spine colours and the notchiness kind of stuff going on. A lot of this stuff was in my old potting mix, and has been in these pots for longer than any of these guys. And you can probably see these guys have this sort of grey look, and then over there they're a lot more green. It is a bit shadier over there, just a touch. Yeah, so I don't know if it's the soil mix why they're like that, but like they've been in those pots longer than these guys. So these guys are going to look way better once spring comes. Cannot wait. Now as well, if any of these rot or seem to die, I do just kind of let them die. If something like this rots at the base, I will cut it and I'll just let that sit there. And if it calluses and then it roots, or I'll plant it again, no problem. Especially because to me, that's like, oh yeah, that could look pretty nice when it's older. This one, I really like, oh, those bloody roosters. I really like the look of that. The coloured spines and the, you can see the ribs or the areoles. There is a bit of character there. It's not totally smooth like something like this. Like this one has alright spines, but the shape of it is just whatever. Bit skinny. This one I can already see it's getting that girth on it. The coloured spines, the girth, the curviness, like the indentations. That could be something in the future. So I keep my eye on that. That looks like, I don't know what the tag says, but it looks like it's got cuscoensis in it or something. Well, it turns out to be a Gary open pollination, which Gary is a Peruvianus. So maybe that's a Peruvianus cross cuscoensis. Sometimes when these things get older, I feel like you can almost tell what they've been crossed with. If you know that that's a Peruvianus, like scopulicola, I feel like you can almost always tell if something's crossed with a scopulicola if the label's like something open pollination, but it's spines and it's got that scopulicola look, you know. And these are Scop cross Hulk, so it's Scop and Scop. It's very, yeah. This guy, I'm liking him. He doesn't have much blue though, like no farina on him. He's looking quite shiny, but the spines are good. He's growing quite fast. Yeah. Because he was, I think he's probably the same age as that one there. Let me see, you can see the height here. Yeah, you can see the height there. Same age as that one. Same age as probably those. Might also be the same age as that guy. They're pretty similar. This guy's got a, what is he? Oh no, that's a Han Pachanoi Crest Trojan llama. And that, I reckon, is from Peruvian seed. Yeah, it is. These Brugesi eyes. Looking alright, looking spiny. I like that guy. He's looking fat. He's got the 4 ribs going. Bit of a slow grower though. Yeah, he's alright. More spines than that guy. And I feel like you can see that. Oh, this guy right here. He's got that shiny look as well. Spines are quite nice. He's got a bit of that girth. I was just gonna say, I feel like sometimes you can see that fat genetics in them. Like a lot of the Brigesii, you can see when they're growing up, they're not gonna get much fatter. When you have like a big stand of Brigesii, sure they get like decently, big, but they never get fat, like, a HBO8 or something, or Shark's Blue, or a lot of those Peruvianuses can get quite fat. But like this guy, I don't think he's gonna get super fat. That guy might get a lot fatter because he's still quite small and young, but you can see how plump he is. And like, yeah, these Brigesii, they're already pretty tall, but they're so skinny, so I can't imagine they're gonna get very thick. Oh yeah, I like him. I like his spines. He's got some slight indentations and he's got a slight hue on him. Oh no, but okay. And then he's got a bit of fungal on him actually. Sorry, I'm in the shadow. You can see there and down there. So now for me, that's a hard decision. There's fungal marks in this guy, but I quite like the look of him. I'm probably going to grow him out, at least till flowering. If I can get some seed from it, then maybe I'd either throw it out, or if someone wanted it, then I'd sell it to them, give it to them, whatever. Unless it was absolutely stunning, maybe I'd keep it. I don't know, but I just feel like I could cross it with something else, get those genetics into something else, get a similar look, if not better. And why do I need that? To constantly cross in fungal problems into future seed. This is where we had the Bipolaris outbreak, and a lot of them, like that guy's, he's pupping. That guy's got some pups going. This guy's got some pups going. Some of the Bipolaris has come back. Like that's continued there, so I will have to cut that. I've only been up here for a couple of days, so I haven't had time to clean up the place, But majority of them are doing alright. And so it is what it is. And this was a big culling thing, like you can see all those empty pots died from Bipolaris. So it is what it is. If they're not going to survive, they're not going to survive. And having that Bipolaris spores and having them land all over the place, good and bad. It gives exposure to the cactus so that they then know. Look, I don't know how all that works, but I mean, I'm assuming it's kind of similar with humans. When you're intact with flu or virus, then you learn how to adapt and fight it. So I don't know, I'd assume that they kind of learn how to adapt and fight it. I mean, sometimes obviously they can't, they just die. But I feel like it's good anyway to be spreading onto those seedlings, and if they die, they die. But I mean, this one was a very vigorous Bipolaris, and it was, took out a few there. I'm excited for these guys. They're all sort of mixed up. That's an SSO2 cross SSO1 cross pempensis. Yeah, but they're all quite spiny. Got a fatty. He's gonna be a little chubster when he's older. Yeah, anyway, I think I might leave it there. I'm going to be doing some potting up in the next few days. I'm going to fill up this area here. So I've put down these pallets. I leveled those ones down there with a couple logs. So that's why I've only put pots on those ones. These ones still have to have, I need to put logs on it, under them. I need to level it out, and then I can put the pallets on and then put cactus, because you can see the pallet with the pots on it is level, but these ones aren't. It's sloping. So, because none of this is level. This is like kind of really iffy. You probably noticed that, but it was good enough. But now I want these ones dead straight. So hopefully I'll have all of this filled up in a few months, and then I'll have to build another area and fill that up. Big things are coming.